All right, looks like we're going to be able to go live. Let's see if this is going to go. Just see if this is working. Okay. I think it's working. Sure, volume's working. Okay. Today we have a deal in St. Petersburg, Florida. This is 1858 Oregon Ave, Northeast, St. Petersburg, Florida, 330703. 1440 square feet, 4 bed, 3 bath. Contract price is $349,463. So let's be efficient. Let's just start writing down some of these numbers as we're going through it. 349,463.42. Oops. We have a mortgage balance of $349,463. So that's exactly what that property is. $349,463. We'll go to the spreadsheet. $349,463.42. Okay. 3.875% interest rate. 3.875% interest rate. Equity play comps. I think the ARV is 505. Okay. Entry fee, $12,000 assignment. $12,000 assignment plus $97.50 to the realtor. $97.50 to the realtor. Wow. And a seller gets $15,000. Okay. Then I'm not sure how the contract price is $349,463 because your contract price should really be at the minimum $349,463.42 plus the cash to seller, in my opinion. So that doesn't really make any sense. But let's just keep going with it. All right. So there's still closing costs. So I got 2.5% closing costs, $10K 12-month balloon, $10K 24-month balloon to the seller. What? So I'm paying all this. So I'm paying another 10K in 12 months and another 10K in 24 months. Okay. I'll put that in later. Let's see if there's even a deal before this 20K because that's just an additional burden on your cash flow for those couple of months. All right. So what's up, Jordan? How you doing? Good to hear from you, man. Let's see. Let's keep going. So let's take a quick look at this property just because. Flooring, probably you probably get away without doing flooring because it's on that tile, the Florida tile. I don't love it, but it's not a must replace, especially if you're just trying to turn it over. I will probably just repaint the place at least, just in case there's some dings. Do a nice deep clean on the floors. Okay, let's double check something else. So for me in Florida, I'm always going to check to see if it's in a flood zone. And this is definitely in a flood zone. 10 out of 10. Personally, I don't buy homes in flood zones because I really don't trust what's going on with the insurance market. Because at any point in time, lots of properties are leaving, lots of insurance carriers are leaving the state of Florida. But yeah, especially in a flood zone, man, this is a tough flood zone. And St. Pete just got flooded not that long ago. So I've got some recency bias here, but let's keep going and analyze the deal thoroughly and just talk through it. So next thing I want to do is take a quick look at whether or not this property is in a good crime area. Let's go to neighborhood. Let's go to the crime score. Yeah, that's a really low crime. St. Pete is a generally nice area. So 74 is a very, very low crime score in my opinion. So good neighborhood. Next thing we want to do is we want to get the fair market rent. So what you're going to want to do is Google HUD FMR. HUD FMR. Once you do that, you can go to fair market rent, click access to small area FMRs, look up FY 2024 FMRs, go to Florida, and click on Pinellas County or Pinellas County, whatever and however that's pronounced. Now, 33703, you can see that the rent for a 4-bedroom property is $32.50. Great. So let me write that one down. $32.50. I don't care about the rent for a 3-bedroom because I already have a 4-bedroom property, and I'm going to write down the zip code 33703. And the reason I'm doing this is because my partners already know how to analyze deals. So I'm just going to put in the numbers. Now, when I went to look up the market rents, this is really interesting, right? It says the market rent for 4-bedroom units within a 2.69 mile radius is 25. For 25 units, is 4447. Now, this is a lot higher, right? 4447. Now, chances are, I'm assuming because it's so close to the shore, it might be lumped in with some oceanfront properties or lakefront properties or waterfront properties, whatever you want to call it. That's my gut, and that's why it's so much higher than what the FMR is, okay? So let me write down the rest of these. 5358 3754 3754 3251. And that's probably corroborated by this number right here, where within this zip code, the average rent is 5358. So maybe this is all relevant to an area that is all waterfront properties, or as you can see, you probably have tons of properties on the water just because of how this is shaped right here. That's okay. Let's keep analyzing the deal. The next thing I want to do is I want to get because there's such a big range, right? I went ahead and looked up Pinellas County Housing Authority or St. Petersburg Housing Authority. And I was able to find the payment standards that were published for 2024, which they just published in October 1st, so just 4 months ago. And when you open it up, you can see, I'm just going to slide this over for all of you. You can see that the payment standard here for 4-bedroom is 3569. 3569. 3569. So that makes a lot of sense, right? If you think about it, payment standards usually include utilities. So if you deduct all the utilities, chances are you're probably back to $32.50, which is your fair market rent, which is also just the rent ceiling is how I would call this number. So because that is my rent ceiling at $32.50, I'm going to underwrite this property assuming the rent on a monthly basis is $32.50 for this property. All right. Now, next thing I want to do is I want to estimate the rehab. As we talked about earlier, I think this property is just fine. We'll probably just do some painting. You don't have to do any big renovations. Kitchen looks fine too. So what I'll do is I'm going to go to my rehab calculator. 1440 square feet. So as I go down my list, I'm going to assume that I'm going to have about $1,500 for the roof. I just know that there was a recent hurricane in this area that flooded a lot of places. So I'm assuming there's some issues here. For the roof, I'm going to assume that I'm spending another $500 to clean the landscaping for the property while I get it rent ready. $1,440. So I'm going to paint the place at $3 a square foot to repaint the entire house so it looks nice with a fresh coat of paint. I don't really have anything else I need to add in. I like to just put in a high pressure flush toilet for $450. I got some termite issues, so I got roughly $9,000 just to kind of set that aside in case I need that for a rainy day or for unexpected expenses. All right. So now what do I have? I got $349,000 for my sub-2 loan, 3.875%. I'm going to plug in. Here's what I'm going to do. It tells me the the PITI rate is $3,018.98. So I'm going to put in equals $3,018.98. Subtract the principal, subtract the interest, and that's going to be my resulting property taxes and insurance number. I'm adding on $35 for insurance because I expect it to go up. Even though this says here, hey, there's a possibility to reduce your PITI by $400 when your $200 monthly escrow shortage is paid off. I don't believe you're going to get a cheaper insurance policy. If you understand the trend for what's happening in Florida, insurance is only going up. And that has a very high likelihood of eroding your cash flow every single month. So that's where it's really risky in investing in Florida right now, right? It's completely out of your control. So I got my war chest at 10%, just because it's Florida, lots of hurricanes. I got my property management at 8%, and I got my vacancy at 5%. This results in a whopping negative $551 cash flow. So even though the rent's pretty high, $3,250, my cash flow per month is negative $551 because you have to set aside money every single month for this property. If you don't do it, chances are you're shooting yourself in the foot and you're not being realistic with your numbers, because you have to anticipate that something somewhere along the way is going to break. And that's why you got to set aside money for maintenance. In addition, you have property management that you probably have to have someone hired to look after your property. And chances are someone will eventually move out your property. So there has to be some sort of vacancy expense there. This results in a net profit loss of $551. So this is why, for me, it is not a deal. I also don't think it's a deal because, well, if you like appreciation, you might be able to get away with this and say, okay, well, what if I don't have to make any repairs while I have this property, right? And I think this property is going to go up by 50 grand or 100 grand in a year. Then it might be a deal for you. You might say, hey, I know this area really well, and I'm willing to lose, quote unquote, $200 a month, assuming I can sell this property during appreciation before I have to do any maintenance. Very risky, but there are people that invest for appreciation. Now, obviously, this is not investment advice. I'm not soliciting any investments, but I just wanted to share with you how people think about it and why everybody's projected returns are different and why everybody's investment strategy is different. Some people prioritize cash flow. Some people prioritize appreciation. Some people will say, hey, I'll even take a loss if I know this property is going to go up by 50 grand next year. So it's all personal, related to you, and you got to consult your own financial advisors to figure out what's right for you. For me personally, I look for at least 10% cash on cash return if I think there's appreciation. Ideally, I'm looking for 15%. And because of how conservative I underwrite, I turn down a lot of deals. And for me, that's okay, because I learn from other wise investors, and they all say number one rule is to not lose money. So I rather err on that side of caution and take the advice from some very smart investors rather than thinking I am smarter than some of the smartest people in the world. So for me, this is not a deal. So we're going to leave this at that. And that concludes today's underwriting. Thank you so much for tuning in today on Thursday. I know this was a little bit later at night, but this is what we got to do to stay consistent, right? So thanks for underwriting with me. I hope you guys, if you guys want a copy of the spreadsheet, just DM me on Instagram at investwithkenhe, and I will send you the spreadsheet next time. I hope you guys can copy what I'm doing every single month and just simply do the same thing I'm doing today and analyze the same deal tomorrow and put it on your own YouTube channel, because this is how you will give yourself that undeniable track history of learning how to underwrite and spotting a deal, so that when a deal comes across your table, you can spot it and you can recognize it. All right. Thank you so much for being a part of the affordable housing investment community. Thank you so much for your time today. Let's do this again tomorrow.